Yes, County Court Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M333970, case of style of the state of Texas versus Preston Keith Addison. Mr. Addison, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Addison, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Addison, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Addison, you may put your hand down. Now, Mr. Addison, I have two documents before me. The first document is judge's explanation of rights to defendants without attorney. And earlier I asked you if you recognize this document. You stated that you recognize the document. You acknowledged that that was your signature on the line that's titled defendant and your initials on the line that states, I wish to waive my right to an attorney and represent myself. Is that correct? And also I have before me a document that is titled waiver of counsel for purposes of entering a guilty plea. Now, Mr. Addison, you also acknowledged that you recognize this document as well. And Mr. Addison, and you also acknowledge that this is your signature on the line that is titled defendant. Now, Mr. Addison, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes.
Did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Now, Mr. Addison, you understand that you have the right to have an attorney. However, you waived your right to have an attorney and you decided to represent yourself. And the court gave you an admonishment informing you that you should be aware that there are dangers of self-representation. Waiving your right to an attorney representing yourself may result in the worst outcome for you and your case, including the loss of significant legal rights and opportunities relating to military service, possession of a firearm, housing and public benefits, child custody, immigration status, and for non-citizens and employment. Is that correct? And also in this waiver, you stated that you were waiving your right to have an attorney to represent you, and that that you had been advised of the dangers and disadvantages of self-representation prior to signing this waiver. And this waiver is freely or is voluntarily and intelligently made. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Addison, I also have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that you, Preston Keith Addison, on or about October 15 of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of failure to identify a fugitive from justice. Mr. Addison, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge Mr. Addison, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Yes.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Addison, I also have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir. On
page 2 of this same document, there are two sets of initials. First set of initials, which is PA on a line next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes.
The second set of initials are on a line below a paragraph that is titled discoveries admonishment, and it is on a line that is titled, or that states rather, I do not request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery in this case and choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. And did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? At the top of this document, there are two boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Mm-hmm.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Addison, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Addison, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Addison, the state is offering State's Exhibit number 1 to be used as evidence against you in this case. State's Exhibit number 1, Mr. Addison, is a document that on the first page has a box checked that has Class A misdemeanor. On the second page, it has your initials in the 2 spots that we earlier mentioned, and your signatures on page 3. Is it all right for the state to use these documents as evidence in your case?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Addison, just for the record, you had a right to have a court reporter to dictate everything that's being said in this case. Do you waive your right to have a court reporter in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Addison, State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Addison, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Addison, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargaining agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, we do.
What is that agreement?
The agreement is for Mr. Addison to be sentenced to 180 days, given credit for 180 days, tax and retire any court costs.
Okay, Mr. Addison, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. You've already served 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you have already served. The court costs in this case of $327 will be taxed and retired. That just simply means that you will not be required to pay it because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off.
Oh.
Mr. Addison, do you understand the offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Mr. Addison, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Do we need a moment? Mr. Addison, just please step in front of our court clerk, follow her directions, and once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to follow the bailiff. Now, if you do not have anything else holding you in jail today, you'll be getting out of jail today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Next case is cause number M333874. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Alan Jamal Richardson. Mr. Richardson, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Richardson, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Richardson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Richardson, you may put your hand down. Mr. Richardson, I have before me 2 documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Now, Mr. Richardson, earlier you acknowledged that this was your signature on the line that's titled Defendant, and these are your initials on the line stating that I want to waive my right to an attorney and represent myself. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Also, I have before me a document that is titled Waiver of Counsel for purpose of entering a guilty plea or proceeding the trial. And again, you acknowledge that you recognize this document and that this is your signature on the line that's titled Defendant. Do you
Yes,
understand that? Now, for the record, you know you have a right to have an attorney,
Yes, sir.
and you have decided to give up your right to have an attorney and to represent yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were also informed that there are dangers to self-representation. That is, there are dangers to representing yourself. Waiving your right to an attorney representing yourself may result in a worse outcome for you and your case, including the loss of significant legal rights and opportunities relating to military service, possession of a firearm, housing and public benefits, child custody, immigration status for non-citizens. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And after being advised of that, you informed the court that you wanted to waive your right to an attorney, and your waiver is your waiver voluntarily and intelligently made?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, Mr. Richardson, Um, prior to signing these documents, you read everything in these documents, and is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
These two documents that I just showed you. All right. Now, Mr. Richardson, I also have before me a document that is titled information. In this case, this information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. And in this information, Mr. Richardson, it alleges that you, Alan Jamal Richardson, on or about May 31st of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal trespassing. Mr. Richardson, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Richardson, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight
Yes, sir.
or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Richardson, you have a right to have a court reporter to record everything that is being said in this case.
I waive my right.
Okay, waive your right to a court reporter. Now, Mr. Richardson, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, there are 2 sets of initials. First set of initials on the line next to a box that's checked no contendere, which means no contest. Second set of initials is below a paragraph that is titled Discovery Admonishment, and it is next to a statement on the line that states, I do not request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery in this case and choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Did you place your initials on this in this spot as well?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page of the same document, well, on the next document rather, that's titled Trial Court's Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, it is.
And are these your initials on a line, excuse me, at the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, I do.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Richardson, before you sign any initiatives, well, Mr. Richardson, before you signed and initiated these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir, I did.
Is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Richardson, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, I am.
State. I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 into evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Richardson, the state is offering State's Exhibit number 1 into evidence to be used as evidence against you. State's Exhibit number 1 is a document that you acknowledge that has the Class B misdemeanor check, as well as your acknowledgements and waivers. It also have your initials on page 2 in the 2 locations that we mentioned earlier, and your signature on page 3. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence against you in your case?
Yes.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Now, Mr. Richardson, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir, there isn't.
Mr. Richardson, I will accept your plea of no contest. And also, state is offering State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Richardson, the state is offering State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit. The probable cause affidavit, can I get a copy? Is the police report in this case.
Okay.
Okay, just hold on a minute. Could you give me a copy of that? Okay, so state is offering state's exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit. Mr. Richardson, you have any objections?
No, sir.
No objection. State's exhibit number 2 will be admitted in court. Will also take judicial notice of state's exhibit number 2. Mr. Richardson, I asked you earlier, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Richardson, the court also asked whether or not prior to initially signing all of these documents that the court showed you that that had your name and initial on that you read the documents
Yes, sir.
and you understood what you read.
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
And you are a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the court is going to, Mr. Richardson, the court is going to accept your plea of no contest. The court will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. The court will also find that your plea and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. And the court will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In consideration for Mr. Richardson's plea, the state is willing to offer 6 months, 180 days in Jefferson County Jail with credit for 180 days with tax and retired court costs.
Okay, Mr. Richardson, state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you have already served in jail. The court cost in this case is $327, but you will not be required to pay the $327 court cost because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off.
All right, thank y'all.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, now, Mr. Richardson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
You think the state's offer is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Richardson, we'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Richardson, stand on the X in front of the clerk. Once you finish following the clerk, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Oh, not to.
Okay.